past couple of weeks or months, and was supposed to be at Mamagashaka when you were performing there. But
yes, last year.
Yeah. I didn't get the chance to do that, but I was like, Yazutini, when I get an opportunity to get to speak to you, I'll actually, I'll go in.
Okay, no.
So right. Yeah, that's what when I was just like, can you start with just you telling us who you are, where you're from, and where you're currently based?
Yes, I'll start with the latter. So I'm currently based, my name is Wandile Mbambeni. I'm a songwriter, singer, artist, currently based in Johannesburg. And Mthatha, Transkei, and raised in East London, so pure Eastern Cape Xhosa breed. And yeah, man, so that's what I do. I'm a lover of music first, and that's how I came to being an artist myself, is that I just love music. I love listening to music as a consumer and love telling stories.
And where would you say that comes from? Does it come from back home where you're exposed to music?
Yeah.
What kind of music were you engaged with, and who were those people that were literally playing that music that you were listening to?
Yeah, I mean, there's early experiences like driving along the coast with my father, and he would always play Orville Peck, and I feel like he was evoking that ear of, even though you don't understand the language, it was his favorite music. He didn't understand a single word, but it was his favorite music. Played Orville Peck a lot, and I enjoyed the sounds as well. And I enjoyed Orville Peck and still do. Around home, it was always music was always part of everything. Whether you're cleaning on a Sunday, whether you're washing a car, doing a lot of things was just music. Rice gatherings, food. Music was involved, and I think it was those moments where I was learned within my family, where I learned to love music. Still remember, how it was you going to the tape, running it back so that you can record your favorite song on radio, all that stuff. So it's those little things where I think you were hands-on with music. It was never about the instrument. I only learned how to play the instrument late, but loving music has always been there from early on.
Yeah. And could you tell us, just give us your journey? Because it's literally you moved from busking in East London to performing global stages. Those are literal worlds apart. So looking at that journey from where you started, where you went to where you are, how has that shaped you, changed you, and influenced parts of you?
Yeah, so I never had a real strategy with music, and I always saw it as a hobby, and I went into the game or to music creation as a hobby, just writing, and it was always that side of things. So it's never something that I sat down and strategized from the get-go and strategized what my stage name would be, how we're going to do things. It was always just from hobby to hobby and what was next from it, So busking was just another way to just express yourself. It was like going to an open mic for free and playing in front of people. And I think that seeing people's reaction and getting in front of people, that made me more hungry to get on other stages. So bust in East London, bust in Germany, and then from there, I think I started wanting to strategize, especially when it came to wanting to release your own material and writing your own music. So that's where I feel like a career was starting to be strategized and put in some sort of box and a direction. So yeah. That's how it's been. It started as a hobby, and now I am fighting to keep it as a hobby, as much as possible, because it gets busy and there's a lot of things to get over across the line when you're strategizing and making a career and wanting this to succeed and fully succeed for many years.
Yeah, you mentioned wanting to keep it a hobby, and I can imagine as an artist who is making music for love, Like then it transitions to
Yes.
you are now making music as work. How is it trying to balance that? How's that been?
I think it's not even so much as work. It's just that there's a lot to do. So I think once the song is done, there's a lot to do um, to get it out, to get it to a place and the vision. There's a lot of uh, management. There's a lot of, people management, people skills, small little things that I think, are now work. So that's more likely, I would say, the work part. But other than that, it's like a business, just putting the points together from here to here about on the road to the journey.
Your music is like a blend of, one can say, folk, there's country, there's pop. It's like a mixture of genres. Where would you yourself position yourself, and understanding your placement as a South African artist or an artist from South Africa? Where would you place your genre, and where would you place your music?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very good question. Like I said, it all begins from how I listened to music from the start, and how as a family we listened to music. So we were exposed to everything. There were Dolly Parton CDs, Teddy Pendergrass, Mendoza, Celine Dion, a lot. So we listened to a lot of different music, and I think those are the things that shaped the kind of music that I make. And as I've grown as a listener of music and a music consumer, I've carried on with that trait, listening to a lot of different stuff, listening to country, listening to songwriters, listening to gospel, listening to blues, listening to so what feels good to me is often me being faithful to what the song requires or what the sound requires in that moment. And the end product is then what becomes what it is. So I don't necessarily go into the song and be like, I want to make this kind of song and this kind of vibe. I think at the end of putting those influences together, you get an end product that comes out as country folk, country blues, maybe gospel, maybe singer-songwriter. So I belong to the family of soul, and I think that, and soul is a huge umbrella. You get Afro soul, pop, and soul, blues, and all of that. I belong to the family of soul, and everything that I do will have soul in it. It will be soulful. That's the place I write from, and that's the place I sing from. So I carry that with me, and I think that's been the thread, the needle thread that goes through each and every type of music style that I tap into. Is that there's a Wandile you find everywhere you go. There's that soul, there's a thread, and that thread is a lot of people say it's the vocal. It's the vocal is the real thread, and anything that accompanies with it is second to it. So at this current moment, I'm very much in the last 2 or 3 years, I've written a lot of country blues, and it's coming from the fact that I had an experience in Nashville, got exposed to a different side of country. For me, I always thought country was Americana and the traditional kind of Dolly Parton bluegrass sound, whereas it's not only that. There's a lot of different pockets, and the fact that when I went to Nashville, I was called a country artist. That also kind of made me think, made me look at, I've never really thought how the world sees me. I've only limited to how South Africa sees what I do. But when I put it in a global scale, and which I think I belong, representing South Africa in language, in the way I speak, in the way I talk, in the way I make the music, but in a global scale, what's the dish that's being served? And it leans more to the family of folk, to the family of country blues, country soul.
Yeah, and you spoke about the vocal being the thread, and your vocal are like deep and heavy with emotion. And when you're telling the stories, it feels like it comes from some depth. How are you balancing that vulnerability and storytelling, but also keeping yourself safe at the same time? Because if you keep on pouring out, you'll run out.
Yeah, so it's never safe. And if you know anything, if you know like vulnerability, it's never safe. It's always you're out there. But I think I always put out from a place where I've given that feeling or that experience time. So, like if we're talking about the latest song I put out, I Don't Regret It. It's a song from 3 years ago, but it took that time for me to grow and understand it, to fully be like, okay, well, now I'm at a Wandile that can promote it because I understand what it is fully. I understand I wasn't just speaking from the experience, I removed and I grew from that. So there's another song coming out tomorrow, and the same with it. It's written from that place, but for me to understand it, I need to also get to be a different Wandile, grow a little bit to also speak on it and understand it fully. So that's how I've kept myself safe, is that I don't write a song today and put it out in the next few weeks. It's because I understand that there is a growth pattern, there's a growth period, there's a growth that needs to happen to you. You need to perform this song, you need to see what it means. So it's like testing it out, sending it out to someone. What do you think about this? How do you feel about the message? It's conversations around the song amongst my close friends and speaking about it fully and looking at the impact of it. And then once you've ironed that out, you get to a point where like, okay, cool. This is something I think I'm strong enough to go with, and I'm strong enough to show that to that side of me. So shout out to my close friends and people who are close around me. They are the ones that get it fully and get the raw questions and the raw ideas. And then we sharpen it until it's a point where it is safe,
Yeah. And, I was going to speak about I Don't Regret, but also there's this song that just like also caught me, A Father's Prayer.
Yeah.
Because both of them are just emotive. They're moving. And in fact, they'd be playing in the background and they demand that you listen to them. Like they will draw you in because of the emotion that exists and that comes from them. What are you with that kind of music, when making that kind of music, or rather when you release that kind of music? What is it that you hope that people engage with within that sound, within that vulnerability, that emotion, that there's a kindness, there's a sweetness, there's a humanness in songs? And I can even add one more, it's Kwakumnandi, because even that one, it has all of those elements, and it's a story. It's different stories told at different times in different ways, but they carry this singular. It's just like you touched something, you dipped it in emotion, took it out, and these songs jumped out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that's the place hasn't changed. The way it comes from, it's the same well, and I've always been like, tried to be very sensitive about that, and to release things that are from the same well. So you asked, what do I hope? If you catch, there's a positive always, and I think, I've always been, since I was young, I've always wanted to make the world a better place, but I've always been like like a superhero kind of thing, whereas I've always wanted to make the better place. And I grew up in sport with two brothers, and I saw that first as something, it's like, playing sport and being in sport, just being a good person, sport, being kind is the difference. So the impact changed a lot from wanting to be a superhero, but also to just play your role, So I my thing changed from saving the world to speaking to that one person that's in the room who will get to listen to the song, you know. So I always write from that point where my music is better if when you're alone. So that's the other thing. So like I've always written it to the person who's in the room alone by themselves. So I write it in that point where I'm thinking about that person who's got a lot of emotions and thinking about the world and taking, and they just come back from work, school, and they now at home alone, and then they just plug into the music, you know. That's who I'm speaking to, and that's who I'm writing to. And if I can impact that person, I think that person can impact the other person, the next person. So a father's prayer is, again, like you mentioned, a father's prayer. It's taken from, I'm not a father myself, you know, but it's taken from me dreaming about being a father, but also my relationship with my father, you know. So like it's now written to, okay, what have I received and what do I want to give, you know? So, and when that time comes, and then it's also wrapped in around, okay, can I write to a father, a new father that's in that room who's got all these thoughts in their head? So it's like that, you know. I don't regret it. It's same. It's me. It's a story about me, but also, like you said, you grow up and then you realize, okay, hang on, there's someone else who may need to hear it. So how do you package this, you know, to that one person that's in that room who needs to hear that it's okay that you loved and, you know, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, you loved because it was a character that you have and not so much for the other person fully, you know. So like that's how Kwakumnandi, again, it's, when I think about myself, I think, okay, my parents divorced in 2017. No, I mean 2010. I was 17 years old at the time. It took me a while. It only took me when I got the offer to to release my debut album that Gallo, hey, let me actually look back and what are the positive things growing up. So then I was like, okay, I found some positive things. Hence Kwakumnandi, you know? So I found those things to write about, but I'm also thinking about, hey man, there are people like me. There is that one person who's just like me, who needs something to look back and remember, hey man, kwakumnandi khula, kwakumnandi sihleli phansi, sidlala, you know, and all of that stuff. So it's that positive underlying is there. That's my little input to the world and positivity to the world. It's just seeing where I think I've taken a journey and how it can impact someone who, you know, who may be feeling the same thing.
Yeah, and you know, when I was listening to a father's prayer, I kept it. I had this imagery of, as you say, it's seeing yourself in a future as a father or becoming a father, but at the same time talking talking as a father who is now looking at a young man. But also there's a prayer to God. There's that you know, and like I was like, man, it's a story that you can engage with in multiple ways.
In different,
yeah. And then I don't regret. I thought it was the most beautiful acknowledgement of a breakup, because a lot of times
I like that.
we want to engage with a breakup from the point of the breakup, but we don't look at the relationship and how beautiful and how the lessons that we learned and we went through within the relationship that were actually good. We just look at, we broke up because of those problems, but we don't acknowledge the rest. You know, like I don't regret this, man. Yeah, it should be played by everyone, because most of us have broken up to people. Like we've broken up with people,
exactly,
but we don't regret. We don't regret having met them.
Yeah, and we give the pain too much credit.
Yeah. Yes. We give the pain to actually way more credit than it
exactly.
And the worst part is the pain, because it is short lived, outweighs the joys that you've experienced through over time, because that joy was over time, and the pain is just the moment. Yeah, man. Like I was listening and I was like, this man is a storyteller. And a lot of times, as men, it is said that we hide our emotions. We don't like and we don't want to engage with our emotions. But here you are speaking from emotional intelligence, emotional understanding, but also just deep in emotion. Where was that cultivated? And how did you get to the point where you're comfortable enough to just live it through your music?
I think it's growth. Like you speak on emotional maturity. I couldn't have written that song the day the breakup happened. Like I don't think I was emotionally mature then, but like you look back and you see what you've learned and the lessons that you've learned, that you don't regret the love, and you want the person to be you're wishing your partner well or your ex well and all that. So that's where, like I said, it's not about being safe and vulnerably safe. It's about me growing to be able to write the songs that I need to write. So I wrote the song, but I had to kind of grow to a point to know what do I want to say here? What do I want to say? And I don't like pushing negativity. I don't like wishing people bad. I don't like that. I don't think that's love. I don't think. In fact, I think if you're at that place, you need more time, to just gather that. So those are the responses I've received from a lot of people talking about, I had forgotten about this feeling. I had forgotten about this, and you just, open that can of worms. I just realized I haven't healed, and all of those things. So I think that's the other positive about it, is that, I was encouraging that. I was encouraging people to love and to it's okay to love and be vulnerable, and especially men, and I do it on purpose, because most of my audience is, funny or not, it's actually men. Not too much, but it's 60% men that listen to my music, and to me that encourages me, because I know if men are listening to me or getting the message they're getting, I think I'm speaking to them directly, in the sense that it's okay to be that. It's okay to be tough, but also be vulnerable and be strong, tough about going through a breakup, tough about going through this. And so it comes from that place of wanting the world to be a better place, but also wanting men to be better, wanting men to be more emotionally mature, 100%, and independent, emotionally independent, mature, grounded, sound, clear, led by God, led by spirits. It's all of those things that I see. I can tap in and add my little bit of work into the world.
And I can tell you, like, from going through your music, which weaves you through genres, weaves you through stories. There's a sincerity that you have. There's a sincerity that you have in your music, and that is just absolutely amazing. And there's a sincerity that you have in the voice, in the stories that you tell. And I just want to come to one of my favorite questions that I ask when I'm ending this. And the question is very simple: what is the point and purpose of your music? What is the finite point and purpose of your music?
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that. I never sit on the point, but I would want my purpose to be positive. I would want my purpose to make people reflect onto themselves, and just evoke some things that can make their world better. A sense of home, a sense of, I write about nostalgia, love, loss, so, I think if it's good, great. The point of it for me is to just tell the story, document the times. I think I place a high value on my stories and the experiences that I go through. Hence, I live the way I write. So yeah, it's like Nina Simone. I'm inspired by her quote that says, "The true job of an artist is to document the times." And I always think about that. For me, it's to just tell the story, what it does, where it goes, how it's perceived. That's something I can't control. But my point is to document the times and tell the story. And in 100 and 200 years from now, they'll say, those black men from South Africa who were talking about this and talking stories about this, and all of that. Yeah, I think that's how I just see it, is to document the times and put God on it and let God do the work.
All right, man. I would be playing with you if I had other questions, but I just want to say, for me, because I started engaging with your music when I saw it was a trailer of that. Was it an Apple series?
Yeah. My Kind of Country. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I looked at it, I was like, who's that guy? Like, South African. So I started listening to music. I was like, wait a minute, how come it takes this trailer for me to hear this person?
It's be like that.
Yeah, but it is like that for certain music genres and certain pockets of society where you have to be acknowledged somewhere else so that your own hood was like, was a guy. Wait, So just to speak on that specific experience, how did you find out about it? How did you get onto it? And what value did it add to your life?
Yeah, it was in the height of COVID where that happened, in the height of COVID. So it did take almost 2 years of just back and forth Zoom meetings to kind of get it over the line. I first thought it was a scam because I never saw myself as a country artist. So I thought, no, this is just another email that's spam, So until my booking agent hit me up and said, listen, these people are on a call in a Zoom in 15 minutes. Let's just jump on and talk. And then from there, it was interesting. Yeah, I'd never thought I'd go to Nashville that soon in my career, but then I was like, okay, cool, no, let's make it happen. It was exciting. I had no expectations, but to go and enjoy. It was also, like I said, COVID time. I needed to get out. I needed to get out, and it was nice to just be going to Nashville and experiencing Nashville. So that was lovely. I think the most important thing that it did for me was it showed me what my value is that I had never seen. And you would never know your value because, like you said, you're not playing to the people that are exposed to what you do. Like the genre, a genre has a home. And I fit mostly in those homes because it's country folk, country soul, singer-songwriters are all in there. So to have known that, you're good, but then to know, okay, you're good, this is what's missing. On a global scale, that to me, it made me think, okay, it made me more hungry to know that the only difference between us and the artists in America are opportunities, nothing else. The bridge is just opportunities. We are as talented, but they have platforms. They have the industry. They have an industry. They have the genre industry, the stages, the platforms, the labels and all that stuff. So that was to me very encouraging and that's what the biggest takeaway was, that I think it gave me a new life and a new hunger and a new strategy to go forward. And I fell in love deeper with songwriting as well. It's just nice to know that, there's a whole world of people like you that love music like this and do things. Because I'd only known it as we are unique here. We are small,
Yes.
in South Africa. So to have that opened up and see that, I was like, oh, okay, let's go. It's almost like giving me new life, man. It was very impactful.
And I have this quote that, because I'm from Pietermaritzburg in and I always say that from moving to Pietermaritzburg to Joburg, to going to the UK, to going to Cape Town, to sing to Swatini, going to different parts of the continent as well. I'm like, when I was in Pietermaritzburg, I was looking at the world through a keyhole.
Yes.
And now I understand that, because looking at the world through a keyhole, the world was so big. But when you're actually outside, you see how actually big it actually is. And I can really, really, I get what you mean, that when you get to Nashville and you see, wait, the only difference is excess. You've got the sugar, they've got the sugar and teaspoon. And that's that.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.